Hello. Welcome to Black Metal and Brews, program in which I do the things that I do, and you decide if you'd like to watch. That's a pretty ordinary exchange, yeah. Seems like a reasonable flow for these things. So I'm gonna set up the Instagram live thing because some people like to watch on there. The picture is usually higher quality, but it's not as reliable, I guess, and not as fun. I think it's set up. I don't know. Am I live on Instagram? What am I doing? I have no fucking idea. I'm old. I'm not old, but I'm on the internet. Old. I think I just ruined the IG live thing. Live. There we go. Checking connection. Okay, I'm live on Instagram now. There we go. I'm live on Instagram. I'm live on YouTube. Aren't we having fun? We're having so much fun. Oh, shit. So today, November 21st, is the year anniversary of my best friend being murdered. So, I guess the content warning, as it were, would be that we're going to talk about grief today. We're going to also have a beer. We're going to play some tapes, and I've got some mail to open because life, in spite of everything, continues, and we still find our joy, and we still find our community. But this is a complex edition, and I think it's important to the complexity. On YouTube, hello, Jonathan Rosenthal. It's good to have you here, my friend. And on Instagram, hello to my English friends. I'm glad you're here. It must be late where you are. So before we begin tonight, I'm showing you my groin, apparently. Before we begin tonight, I'm going to light a candle for Howard. Howard Quick was the most loving, steadfast friend you could ask for in this world. And at his funeral in January, because it took a while to get around to having that funeral, because I had to fly out and the holidays happened and shit, we all got these candles with his image on them. So today, on the year anniversary of his passing, we're going to finally light a candle in his honor. This is just going to be kind of going in the background today. Got this other candle. It's just like a fucking novelty candle. I don't need that shit. I mean, nothing against the novelty, of course. I'd love if all I had to think about was novelty, but right now that's not my life. So, maybe he's here. I'm hoping to feel closer to him. Howard used to always make sure that you had food and drink and music, and I'm not gonna fucking eat on camera and make you watch me eat, but I am gonna drink on camera and I'm gonna play some music. I'll move to some more typical black metal and brews sort of stuff, but this is a tape that he liked. This is his sort of thing. Faith No More. It's pre. This is old Faith No More. This is Introduce Yourselves. This is before Mike Patton was their singer, and it's still fucking good. So we're gonna listen to Introduce Yourself because that's the sort of shit Howard liked. And it looks like I may be having connection issues on Instagram. If that's the case, I can't tell from my end. It looks like I might be. Come watch me on YouTube. YouTube works just fine, I think. We're gonna drink a beer that Howard liked. We're gonna drink a Hefeweizen. Premium Weiss beer, Franziskaner. Pretty standard stuff, but it's good. It's enjoyable. So, got a mug, big ol' Stein here, with his face on it. Jaden, bless you as well. Hello, it's good to have you here. Good to have some friends around, huh? Howard's favorite thing to do was have friends over and drink, play music, just enjoy company. He was not a judgmental person. Didn't matter who or what you were about. You were welcome as long as you were decent to the other people around. Which meant, if you were bigoted, you could get the fuck out. If you were unkind, you could get the fuck out. Everybody else was welcome. That was a really important lesson for me to learn from a friend at a young age. There we go. So, it's certainly not the most obscure or rare fancy beer, but it's delicious. Haven't had this in a while, but I know that it is. It's tasty stuff. It looks like my phone is just not working with me tonight, so we're gonna turn off the Instagram Live thing, and we're just gonna focus on YouTube, where people are actually able to watch. So that was nice while it lasted. Which is a shame because it looked like a lot of people were trying to tune in on Instagram. It just doesn't really like me. I think the Wi-Fi in this new apartment of mine doesn't agree with the IG platform. Maybe I'll have some angry messages. Somebody will be like, "Why did you, not turn in?" I don't fucking know. Don't know how that works. But anyway, yeah. Cheers. To those that we've lost and to those that we love who are with us today, remind them of that love. I guess, honestly, Howard was one of the people who really loved me getting all sorts of ridiculous heavy metal junk. Because Howard was a record collector. Howard owned a record store. The first things, I opened this package earlier, like this week, because I was too excited for the contents, but new arrivals all the same. You can't even fucking see it because it's dark and reflective. This is Take a Chance on Rock and Roll by Couch Slut. Came in the mail. Very, very incredible record from incredible friends on Gilead Media. And similarly, or rather from the same label at least, we've got Obliviosus by MSW. You may remember a couple weeks ago I interviewed him alongside Mizmor and Mania. This is the Hell It Does Hell. MSW is simply an adjacent project. It centers heavily around grief as well in its own way, so oddly appropriate to do this. I know I need a lamp. Look, I'm using string lights here. I'm doing the best I can. And to be fair, this face doesn't need to be seen clearly. Just thanks for being here, though. It's good to see you. And then, in addition to those, in the same package came this other thing that you won't be able to see terribly well. You know how it goes. Pretend that you can see this shirt. Oh, I'll do you a favor. Here. Fuck. Oh, jeez. Okay. There we are. For just a second here. Oh, jeez, I'm ruining everything. There we are. Hell. It's a Hell shirt. Maybe you can see it. Blah, Hell. They're fucking great. I don't know if that was visible at all. I'm blinding myself with my phone light. But yeah, is it a Void shirt? Yeah, it's a Hell shirt. So that was, a recent mail package from the Gilead Media Roding Winds camp. I remember years ago the Hell box set when I got it in, which was the first, the trilogy on cassette with a back patch and some other shit. I posted that on Instagram, and Howard, who is not a tape collector, was like, "Oh, dude, maybe I should start collecting tapes." And he contacted me. He's like, "Can you send me some of your weird tapes?" I'm like, "I'm not sending you my tapes." And in retrospect, I wish I had. He would have loved some of that shit. But I remember it was specifically Hell, so kind of great timing again with that. I got so much mail here. This is going to be ridiculous. I love this song, by the way. Old Faith No More, there's something so sweet about this song. And song, oh my god. So this package is from Diabolical Conquest. And it is the Kneepageist tape. Kneepageist. Covetous Nocturnal Fantasy. Really cool, bizarro black metal, riffy as hell, but weird as fuck too. And I'm thrilled to have this on cassette. My friend Garrett is responsible for this project, and it is a hell of a ripper. In true, mailing fashion, the case is already cracked, so no need to be precious about it. We can just enjoy our shit rough and tumble because we don't buy things to put them on Discogs. We buy them to enjoy them or not at all. Remember that. Yeah, this is fucking cool. Look at this neat little art. It's so neat. And yeah. Yeah, no, this tape is really cool. I really dig it. I think I didn't even know it was going to happen. It's not like Garrett's, messaging me to tell me these things, discreetly. Dude just posted about it, and I saw it, and I was very excited. Holy shit, it's really good. It's one of those demos that caught me off guard this year. Stuff like that, I think, is more exciting than when a hyped release comes and actually delivers. Because of course, of course, a new Oranzi Pazuzu album is going to be good. Of course, a new Paysage d'Hiver is going to be good. And that's not to discount those. I'm so glad they exist. But then that shit, that's what really excites me. Yeah, that last song. I like songs about friendship. The And song by Faith No More is kind of just about having that cool ass friend that lights up a room. I like that. And then this is fun too. This whole album is fun. But we're just keeping in the theme here of buddies, I guess. I don't know if that's just a byproduct of doing this long enough where I'm friends with a lot of people, or that I'm supporting my friends, or if it's a coincidence, or especially on a day when I'm focused on friendship and love in the face of grief. This package also came from somebody I care about dearly. Oops, the sticker is a little bent, but this package came from Mizmor. I know. I feel like I should be banned from mentioning Mizmor for a month on here or something, because I realize I had my time with him. But no, I love him dearly. I've got Dialetheia, the new Mizmor album, on cassette because I don't own a turntable right now. All this vinyl I have is stuff I ordered before I knew I would not have a turntable. In the before times. But when life changes things, it's when life gives us a change, we adapt. We make our peace. We find our joy. It doesn't have to be linear. I've experienced so much loss in the last 12 months, and it's been really uncomfortable. But I've also found new paths to take. And Chuck, that there's a possibility. I know a little about his personal life and location, and I'm not in a position to share it, obviously. But he could be near you. I know that you've moved out to his city. This came with a download card. At some point, I'll have to find a way to get this to somebody because I already have it downloaded. Since I got a review copy digitally. So Dialetheia, this is the album art by, of course, by Emma Ruth Rundle, and credits. Given that there's no lyrics to print, we got that. But lovely little cassette. Very excited to hear this in that form. Great band. And obviously it's not just Mizmor, it's the Mizmor and Andrew Black, tape. And I'm very pleased to have that. It came wrapped in a shirt that I chose to order. Look at that. That's beautiful. Is this a size small? It is a size small. It feels huge. I'm sure it's not, and I'm just psyching myself out. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I love this art. Got to push that boulder up that hill. Your daily grind, as it were. Our daily toils. It's Saturday night, and I'm, drinking to the dead. What are you all drinking, if you're drinking? I realize that for you on the West Coast, it's quite early. Thanks for being here if you are. For those of you, on my side of things and stuff, I guess it's drinking hour, especially if the English people are watching. I think my English friends only watch on Instagram because fuck a YouTube, So let's see, what's next? I didn't even realize what this was until just now, because I wasn't even paying attention. There's another one that's oddly fitting right now in its own way. And this is obviously a larger package. Yeah, I'm using the bottle cap to open the tape because I don't have my keys readily on me. There we go. Ooh. Drinking coffee is good. I just finished a coffee 45 minutes ago. 4 hands absence of light peanut butter chocolate milk cup. That sounds like a Reese's cup. I think you're just... John, you're not drinking a beer, you're drinking a candy bar. But honestly, I don't blame you. That sounds delicious. I can't do the milk stats anymore, obviously, due to certain choices I am making in life, but I have enjoyed my share of them in my time, and that sounds fucking rad as hell. So this package came from Ithacac Records, and it contains the newly re-recorded Mr. Bungle Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny on cassette and on vinyl, because again, we ordered this before we knew that we'd be living this way. And that's all right. I'm glad to have it. We'll see what I do. Maybe I keep the record around a long time and eventually get a turntable and enjoy it. Maybe I fucking, find a friend who really wanted it that didn't get it and give it to them. I don't know. Because one of the things that in part of my remembering of Howard, I posted on Instagram, and maybe you saw me, you didn't, and I don't, it doesn't hurt my feelings if you didn't. Howard gave gifts. Always, just if you're his friend and he had something that reminded him of you or that he thought you'd like, he'd just fucking give it to you and be happy that you enjoyed it. And It was really sweet. So I try to do that. Fuck you, I'll skate to the beach. Yeah, I've never skated in my life. I think I tried to get on a skateboard when I was 6, and I fucking ate shit in my own driveway. You know, skinned an elbow or something, something very minor. But when you're 6, it's not minor at all. And that was the end of that for me. I surfed for a little bit when I was a child living in Hawaii. I was also awful at that, but at least when you fall in the water, you're falling into water. Uh, and I do no extreme sports of any sort now. I guess if I had a bicycle, I'd ride a bicycle, but not like bike punk. I would just, it's a good mode of transportation, and maybe I won't die on it. Maybe I will. I don't know. I've been hit by cars so many times when I used to be a bike messenger. It's kind of like when you look back, I think everybody just like you look back at like maybe when you're under 25 and you're like, wow, I had a lot of times when I really should have gotten hurt far worse than I did. I'm glad I'm here. Glad I'm here. Glad you're here. Last piece of mail today. I have more mail coming that I'm really excited about that's not here yet, that I wish I could show you today. But I guess, there'll be more episodes of this goofy ass YouTube channel, won't there? Unfortunately for you. Actually, unfortunately for me, I can't believe I gotta keep doing this for the rest of my fucking life. Like, I moved into my new apartment and then tell my roommates, like, by the way, I have a YouTube channel. I'm sorry, guys, I got a YouTube channel. I talk into my computer screen. Yeah, no, I don't have like an audience. I don't make money. Like, 8 people watch. Yeah, it's just, it's good. It's something to do. The lies that we tell ourselves to help us sleep at night. Nothing helps me sleep at night. I live in Queens. It's loud. Yeah, I really need a fucking white noise machine or something, because it actually is very hard to sleep at night here. That's why I'm usually up by 5:30 in the morning, and I just stay up. So this came from Necrotic Doom Records in lovely Colorado. There was a band that a friend of mine told me about in like 2013, 2014. It sent me a demo tape. It was called The Spectral Voice. And my phone is falling out of my pocket. I've barely had half a beer. Can't even blame it on that. I make noises. And today I got The Spectral Voice. The demo on vinyl, along with some tracks on their splits. I already have the split with Vastum on 7-inch, but I will say I've ordered certain Spectral Voice items from certain people who are not the band, and didn't receive them. So I'm kind of glad to have this all here. Spectral Voice, if you don't know, they are like the one of the coolest death doom bands around. I'm not going to try to draw a comparison or contrast to Blood Incantation, with whom they share many members. I think they're just both wonderful bands, each doing their own thing, and I'm so glad that both bands exist. Some people try and compare, state of preference for one or the other. Wow! Oh, there's a lot of stuff that came in here. I love this. So a little insert explaining what it is. I'm not going to try and show you because it's fucking black. A thing with kind of art from all of the releases kind of contained in this. And then, it's all about Stay Death. Look at that. God, I need to get some picture frames so I can put stuff like that on my walls. Wouldn't that be neat? I don't know how anybody watches this. I'm sitting here with like a Spectral Voice album. Wouldn't that be neat? Boy. I mean, glad to have you here. Because Jesus, I don't know how you guys put up with this shit. This is certainly not content. This is not entertainment. But maybe you get something out of it. I know I do. I sit and make fun of myself a lot, but obviously I wouldn't be doing this if it didn't in some way help me. And jokes aside, I hope you like it. I hope that you feel good. Stay death, stay slow, stay doom, eat fresh. That's why we love Chuck. Right behind my camera, actually, Chuck. I've literally. Let me just. You'll see. I don't even need to really move. I'm just gonna stand up and show you all my groin again. My beautiful belt. I have this. This was also one of the things that Howard saw and was like, "Dude, I want that." This is a box, and because I've moved a lot, it's kind of breaking. But inside this box is a tape from a band called Morthilla, and there's a fucking cloth thing and a bone and a patch, an anti-light patch, a candle, and buttons. There's like 4 buttons in here, and an anti-light sort of Morthilla booklet here, because that's how this goes. Kira, I'm glad that you're here most nights I do this. I'm glad you enjoy it now, and I'll understand the day when you grow out of this. Kid. Trevor, you couldn't be more right. I am Twitter user. For better or for worse, that is me. And hey, I'm sorry that you lost yours. This is so dear to me. I've purged a lot of my music collection, especially oddly sized and shaped things, because this is hard to store. It sits on top of my dresser like as a display piece. Honestly, and next to it is that bag full of seashells and shit that Dampier put out. Because I'm sentimental. Gosh, I didn't even put it together. But speaking of the dead who I miss, this song, We Care a Lot, on my 28th birthday, I was at a really low point in life. I'm 33 now, and I'm still at a low point in life. Maybe life is just a series of low points and moments of respite. But I was really low. My 28th birthday, my friend Reggie, who is no longer with us, basically demanded that I come out and do karaoke with him. And I didn't want to do karaoke at all, and so he said, let's do a duet. And we sang this. And it was beautiful. I mean, it was a really, really good night, and I miss Reggie a lot too. He left by choice, and that really fucking sucks. I don't like living in a world without him or without Howard. I don't. I mean, I say this as there's a few really wonderful men watching this, but I don't really bond with men as well because I don't know. Men are fucking complex things, and masculinity is a goddamn scary thing to someone like me. But so having men who I love that dearly who've exited my life, exited their own lives, that always just it really fucking sucks. But that's okay. That such is the shape of grief. I want to move this somewhere where we can see it, where you can see it. Is that better? Is that visible? That's visible. Cool. I'm gonna move these books that are next to it because I don't want them to get, And actually, this book is a recent acquisition. It's funny. I find myself drawn lately to all these things that make me think of Howard. Look at this book. This is a book of vivisections. And it's obviously it's the vivisectionary. It's obviously very fantastical, given that we've got a mermaid vivisection here. I'll flip to a couple random pages here, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And this is very much an art piece book, not a. Oh, I can't show that on YouTube. That's not safe for the internet. Okay. Like, look at this. This is crazy. And Howard loved kind of gross out weirdo shit, so when I see this, I'm like, oh man, he would have loved that. I wish that he could take a look at this weird book of vivisected fantasy things. I feel like that would have made him quite happy. That's why I'm wearing this fucking disgusting shirt with art from from Naked City's album in like the 80s. Yeah, like a lot of that kind of gore horror art. He would look at that sort of thing and be like, "Oh, Ben, that's badass, doggy." He'd call everybody doggy if he loved you. He had a million nicknames for anybody he loved, and because he was the sort of guy. He had like 7 cats and a dog, and sometimes raccoons, and so because he was always, when you have a pet, any pet, you will inevitably give it more than one name. It's got its name, but then it's 13 to 20 different nicknames that you give your pet. Well, Howard just took that and carried it on to all his fucking friends. It's like, okay, you're gonna have just a million names that he calls you, and you're just gonna have to figure that out, because that's just how Howard's brain worked. We were all his cats, I think. But honestly, I love that. I lived with him for a while in his house of cats, and that was really fucking cool. Sometimes Little Kitty, that was his name, Little Kitty would sleep on my chest. I'm allergic to cats, and I didn't even care. Little Kitty was fucking cool. It's nice to have that sort of love. It's nice to have the love of your friends. It's nice to have friends worth loving back. I've had a lot of times in my life where I didn't feel that way. Now I have friends I love. And I did when I had Howard around too. Absolutely a friend I loved. I still love him every day. I think it's important to love people, to be active in that love. Sometimes it's okay to not have to be in constant contact, of course. One of my friends, who I love, shared something, like a post on Instagram or something that simply said, you are not chained to your friends, which I think is a really important distinction. But when you do interact with the people that you love, make it known, and don't just say I love you to them, because for one, some people will read that as a weird thing, but also words are just that, they're words. The weight of your words, the direction of them, should just simply make it clear to the people that you love them. When I talk to you, if I care about you, I should be using language and taking conversation in directions that simply let you know that I'm present. Love is an act. Love is a practice. And friendship, I think, is often the most ultimate form of love. Familial love can be a gnarled thing. No less vital, but that's an act of patience. I think familial love is. And romantic love. Oh, romantic love. is not something I'll touch. But when you choose to love your friends, it's active. It's a decision. It often yields no reward other than itself, and that's fucking beautiful. I think that's incredible. To get to know somebody, to care for them, to do kind things for them, to be kind and maybe be kind, receive kindness, to understand and be understood. These things, when you do not have a guarantee of it being some sort of transactional experience, that's really, really, I mean, it can be scary, it can be challenging, it can be frustrating, and it can be the most beautiful thing you'll know. Some of my best friends and I have had times where we didn't speak because there was a rift of some sort. Hey, look at that. Speaking of friends and love and the decision to show up for people, Ian, I love you dearly. Thank you for coming to say hi. Go rest your migraine off. You don't have to watch my YouTube channel. But it means a lot to me that you chose to, even for a brief moment. Thank you. And that's the thing. Like, we make time for the people that matter to us, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's challenging. I do think that a lot of the time I take more in my relationships than I give sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I often tend to have a negative self-lens here, and who doesn't, I guess. But, the cool thing is we often don't know the gifts we are giving people with our friendship and love. Because most people aren't going to say, oh yeah, what I like about you, what you do for me, like that's not a conversation. That's kind of an odd way of framing things. Sometimes we can give a direct appreciation, but a lot of the time I feel like it's this intangible thing. It's simply known. It's understood. It's like the difference between asking a question and making a statement. I think the best, most loving friendship is the sort of thing where, like, you can just put something out there and not need a response. I can let you know that I'm thinking of you. I hope you're well. I don't need you to get back to me because you've received that message and you can do as you see fit with it. If I'm your friend telling you I care about you, well, I mean, that's a statement. It's not an invitation for more unless you decide that you'd like to talk, and then I'm happy to talk to you. I learned so much of this from Howard. Howard was present. He was there if you needed him. If you didn't, that was cool. He didn't need to be needed by you. I'm sure a lot of the time he would prefer not to be. It can be exhausting when people need you. And that's okay. It's also okay to tell your friends, dude, I love you, but I can't do this tonight. I think I was like knowing that someone loves you and that it's there and that it doesn't have to be interrogated or examined. It just is. That's powerful. But yeah, that was, I've learned so much about love from Howard, especially about, again, kind of a love from a place of more masculinity. I am, hardly masculine. Not that I feel any obligation to be. I think as somebody who dreaded that aspect of the human experience at all, actually having a gentle, thoughtful man as a role model for me, I really fucking needed that. My dad and I are cool. I don't dislike my father, but there were some times in my early adulthood where we didn't speak. And so Howard, who was, 23 years older than me, Howard was a great go-between, as this kind of father figure. And I think what what really made Howard special for me is that, I mean, that there's no one thing, but Howard was imperfect, and because he was not living a socially normal path, because he was not adhering to norms, it made everything he did so consciously his own decision. It was not like Howard was doing something because he felt he fucking had to. He did not care what he had to do. He, he was like eternally at war with the city of Santa Rosa over like them wanting to dig on his property to put in some fucking pipe or some shit. Like, he did not like dealing with authority or expectations from anybody outside of himself. So when someone like that, and Howard spent a lot of time in the 1990s in prison for certain things that I will say are pretty minor offenses. I think he was in prison for selling acid or something. I don't even know, because he didn't care to talk about that. That wasn't who he was when I met him. And also, Jesus fucking Christ, I've never done acid, but selling acid, really? Like, who gives a fuck? I'm so glad that we're on a path to legalizing drugs or decriminalizing drugs, so that we can worry about actual issues and about harm reduction instead. Which, foreshadowing, we're going to be talking harm reduction and addiction recovery and empathy for substance use soon on one of these episodes. I've got some guests I'm working with. But Howard spent time in prison. Howard learned things there, and he learned a tattoo there. My left arm belongs to Howard. For the rest of my life, I have a reminder of this man who loved me enough to draw some shit on my arm and carve it in forever. I couldn't be happier to have been his canvas. I think I met Howard when I was 18. And when I was 18, I had no friends. I had no path. I had a love of music, and Howard had a record store. And I would get off my shitty job at Safeway, and I would go to that record store and buy a CD sometimes. And more often than not, however, I would just talk to the weird old dude at the counter because he was friendly. That's Howard, obviously. And one day Howard says, "Hey, man, do you smoke cigarettes?" And I said, "No, I don't smoke." He said, "Great." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Which is funny because he was going to offer me a cigarette. He said, "I need you to just sit here. Don't do anything. Don't touch anything. Just watch the store. I'm going to go outside and have a smoke." And that's how it started. I ended up working there and living with him because Howard needed a chance to go smoke a cigarette, and I was on fucking cloud nine. I quit my shitty job at Safeway. I moved in with Howard. He didn't charge me rent, and he didn't pay me. It was a fucking trade. Every day I'd go to the store. I'd be in the store from like 7 a.m. to fucking 9 p.m. Like, I just lived in the record store basically and slept at his house. I'd take, $15 from the till to go buy a sandwich at the deli next door, whatever I needed. That was the agreement. Like, I can have whatever I want, knowing that I respect the store too much to take too much. And that was the thing. Like, I loved him and what he was building with his store, Clove Records. It obviously no longer exists. We went under in 2007. I would sometimes take home a used CD and burn it in his CD burner and put it back on the shelf. Because, again, I really wanted that store to thrive. We all did. And then, a CD store in the mid-2000s. Oh, boy. Yeah, we didn't do so. I mean, we had records, too, but that was not during this weird final resurgence that we've seen. We would literally go buy a new release at Best Buy but be like, oh, there's a new Slayer CD out. In 2006 when Christ Illusion came out, we bought 5 copies of Christ Illusion at Best Buy, and then charged 5 cents less than Best Buy did. So we took a loss of 5 cents per copy that we sold, but we knew all the heavy metal guys in town would come to us, and we'd hope they'd buy something else while they were there to get the new Slayer. They usually didn't, but that's what you did. I love that he loved the store so much that he didn't care about getting, like, it was not a business, it was a hangout place that, like, he happened to keep afloat so that he could just fucking hang out and play music all day. Like, I love that. That's really, honestly, I don't believe in a lot of utopian ideals, but I think that Howard was building his own utopia. He would go to the record store and, we'd listen to, like, fucking Clutch and Agents of Oblivion and Alice in Chains, stuff that's hard-edged but not too hard. He'd get mad at, like, I'd play Cephalic Carnage in the store and he'd get pissed because he'd be like, dude, I like this, you're gonna scare off the customers, which, yeah, I probably would, but he also, again, I got to play Acid Bath and shit in the store, and that was cool. We'd do that all day, and eventually we'd go home, and Howard would cook. And by cook, I mean he'd fucking start up the grill, and it was really cool because, like, my ass was vegetarian, and Howard loved meat, and he would always make sure that there was something for anybody who wanted to eat with him. So he'd fire up the grill, and Howard's wife Jan and I would have portobello mushrooms or whatever, and he'd make a steak, and he knew what I would say, but he always offered me a steak too, because he wanted to make it clear that whatever he had that he was enjoying was something that he would like for me to enjoy as well if I saw fit. Again, Howard liked certain drug experiences that I haven't experienced myself, and I never once in my life was pressured by the man, but I was always offered, hey, X, Y, or Z is here for you. Would you like it? And we're not talking hard drugs. We're talking, like, gentle psychedelics. Howard was an earth drug man, not a chemical drug man. It was, I've never known somebody to be that, affectionate for certain forms of inebriation that wasn't adamant about it. You're just like, oh yeah, that's not for you. Fucking cool. But because I love you, every time I do this thing that I enjoy, I'm going to offer it to you. Which I think was very cool, very lovely. So we've listened to Introduce Yourself by Faith No More, a lovely cassette. Yeah, I think it was wonderful, and I remember, and that's the thing, like, the man was a steak guy. I got him to cook, like, to stuff some fucking, like, bell peppers with Daya and shit, and he did it happily, and he tried it, and he's like, oh, Benny, this isn't that good, but, I love you, I'm happy to do this. Like, I think that's the thing, like, also, when you love your friends, you can be honest with them. You can tell them, man, I did this for you, and I'm happy I did this for you, but also this fucking sucks. Like, he didn't like that at all. but he was glad I was there. And that's the thing, he like, that was the price of including me, and he was happy to pay that price. He, no second thoughts. God. People don't come like that, and I hate to say, again, especially not, like, tough metal dudes. They don't come like that. Or at least not as often as they should. Obviously, I'm not going to paint with too broad of a brush here, because we're not, the goal isn't to, like, draw distinctions or say, well, people are like this. People are complex and varied, and obviously that's how someone like Howard comes to be. We're all complex, and we find our way. I think he understood that better than most. Ooh! Did that show on camera? the download code fluttering across the screen as I accidentally opened the cassette without trying to. We're going to listen to the new Mizmor, because I feel like that's good background music not that it should. You should definitely listen to it as foreground music, but my other option is trying that new Mr. Bungle tape, and I'd like to actually get to hear that and focus on that. This is wordless, and therefore we can a little easier to navigate. Yeah, oh, God. And I'm thinking of stories of Howard, concrete, specific experiences I had with him, and I'm simply not sure, of the mood in here tonight, as it were. I don't know what interests you all, because also my grief for him, as you can tell today, is centered in a place of love and celebration. I don't know how the rest of you grieve. For me, yesterday was a day of tears. I was, I, I was mostly okay for a little bit. Talked to a couple people, and it started to get a little weird. Getting texts from a couple friends out west in my hometown, and being like, okay, like I can thumb my way through this text exchange. And then I ran into a friend of mine in a crosswalk, and just the how are you question, I don't think I've ever had a harder time articulating a sentence, because sometimes there's like a single thought that enters your head, and just like a certain phrase just like it hits something in your brain, like a switch. And the phrase that had entered my mind earlier in the day, but again, I'm walking around. I haven't had to speak with anybody or articulate myself. The phrase was, I now live in a world without him in it. And so of course that's running through my head, and then you see somebody who's like, who, I mean, it was, just asking how you're doing, and how do I tell you how I'm doing? How do I tell you? So, yesterday was my rough day, and I'm glad it was yesterday and not today. Because today being the anniversary of the death of him being murdered is, I need to create good new memories today. Memories that include him, even though his physical presence isn't part of them. I can't call him up and involve him. But I can do all the things that I know he would do with me. I was supposed to volunteer today, and I didn't have it in me. I didn't want to be too preoccupied, so I went for a walk. There's a cemetery about maybe a 15-minute walk away from me. There's a lot of cemeteries in my neighborhood. It's kind of one of the cool things about being in Queens. He would have loved that. I found a grave that had no information other than the last name, and it was his last name. I felt compelled in the direction of it. That was really beautiful. And I'm going to attribute it to some sort of intentionality. You can call it coincidence if you'd like. The odds are the same. It could be either. But I don't know, and I'm going to choose to believe that I was accompanied. And that was nice. I wandered around for a little bit after that, and I found a beautiful tree, and I sat against it, half in the shade, half in the sun. It's like 63 degrees today, which it should not be 63 degrees in late November in New York. But, I can't control global warming. I'm just going to enjoy my nice day and try to forget what that indicates, on a broader scale for us and for future generations. But I enjoyed my time in the cemetery. And then I took a long walk from there to get some coffee. And I had plenty of good food to cook at home, but Howard liked greasy shit. Howard liked burgers and shit. So I got of course, from a vegan joint, because that's the path I'm trying to walk these days. I got a fucking fried chicken sandwich and cheeseburger wontons from Champ's Diner. I ate it on my roof. It was really nice to do shit like he would do. I'm now drinking a beer and sharing music with my friends, which the first time I ever drank alcohol was with him. And he was sharing music with me constantly. I mean, he was sharing music with me before I ever drank too. He always knew that I wasn't like his other friends, and he was so protective of me in that. I'm about to use some language you may not like. Don't really care. Some people love to call me a fag. I mean, whatever. He wouldn't stand for that. Even though some of those people had been around a lot longer than I had, that was a foot down situation. There were certain areas where teasing and playful shit, had a line, a gray area. There was a line there. Don't you dare poke fun at Ben like that, because that's not how we treat our friends. And Howard was always this unchanging person. He was not one person when he went one place and a different person for a different situation. There was no opportunism in him, perhaps to his detriment at times. He was Howard through and through everywhere he went, and he knew that me being as I am, being a strange person, I was going to have a challenging enough path in life, and he created a social circle where I could at least be me and explore who I am without it bringing harm my way. And I didn't even realize it at the time. That's shit that didn't even click with me until after I had moved away from California. But a lot of his behavior, a lot of his love was never done, explicitly. It was always just an expression of knowledge he held. It was just something he did, something he carried in him. He just knew to do it, knew to be a certain way, and knew to create a space for the people that he valued most. And he valued me. And so, so he did that, did his thing, made me feel safe, made me feel accepted. And of course he would tease me about all manner of silly things, from goofy, gothy haircuts I had to teasing me for playing video games too much at one point because he had Nintendo 64, and I think I spent a whole weekend playing Banjo-Kazooie, and he gave me shit for He's like, damn, I don't think I've ever even played this much, and I own it. But that was the thing. Like he made it clear, like, oh yeah, you're my friend, I love you, I'm gonna fuck with you. But there's a line between that and being an asshole. And I think again that was another important thing for me too. Like you should be able to fucking pal around and banter with people you care about, but you don't have to fuck with them. You don't have to be a complete dick to people. Which I mean, that's been a thing on the internet today, hasn't it? Don't be an asshole, huh? Uh, but yeah, I mean Howard is 55 forever. That's a good number. I wish he'd had more, but I've known beautiful people that don't get that much. Reggie was 34. Uh, in 7 months, I'll be 34. And then I'll be older than Reggie. And that's okay. I'll carry him too. Ooh. In 2016, I got a tattoo over my heart. It's the last tattoo I got because I don't have money for tattoos. But I got a tattoo of the cover of a record called "The Ape of Naples" by the band Coil. It's the only tattoo I have that Howard didn't do. And to me, that album is a commemoration and process of the many experiences of death, from the dying, from the dead, from the living mourning, from the living anticipating. I view it as almost a total meditation on death as it impacts life. I'd initially intended, when I was much younger, when I was 19, when I lost my first friend uh, who died in an accident, I wanted to get a tattoo for just that one friend, Matt. And then before I could figure out exactly how to commemorate Matt, suddenly I'd realized I'd lost 3 people. And by now I've probably lost 7 of my friends by now, in the last 15 years. Uh, and I wanted a coverall tattoo, something that would encompass those I had already lost and those I'd yet to lose. And what better way than commemorating a piece of music? Music is my soul. A piece of music that I thought encompassed both grief and acceptance, and the messy and the beautiful and all of the aspects of death itself. I'm not gonna show you my fucking chest on YouTube on the internet. I hate my goddamn body so much, so we're not gonna do that. But Google "The Ape of Naples" by Coil, and you'll see a little orange figure with hands clasped in prayer. And if you haven't heard the music on it, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. You might like it too. It's an industrial record. I don't know. But yeah, I miss my dead friends. I miss them dearly, but I also don't, because they're not really gone. They're taking a different role in my life now. I I think I'm wiser for each of them having been in my life, and I'm more loving for it. And there's parts of me that would love to close off and defend myself, because I've also learned, because I've lost a lot of people. I mean, as I said, I think I've lost 7 friends are dead, and obviously many relatives. I lost 2 relatives this year alone, 3 relatives, 2 grandparents, a great aunt. But it would be so easy for me to follow the simple truism that to love is to lose, but there's more than that, and I'm choosing to love, knowing that love and loss are hand in hand. I think love is brave. It is so easy to close yourself off. But it's not worth it. I could so easily put my head down and carve a path through this world and have transactional relationships with others in which we help one another because we benefit from it. Being in a music scene, you see a lot of that. And I would never, again, know the pain of loss. I would never experience the grief that I will carry for the rest of my life. And I could probably be a more successful person walking on the necks of those that I step on my way up, wherever that is. And it would never be worth it. It would not. I could avoid so much pain, and I could live a very safe, unfulfilling existence. It's not for me. If it's for you, I'm not going to tell you to be someone you're not, but I'm telling you who I am and what I've learned about love and grief and patience and trust and understanding. And as I said earlier, love is an act, and it's a practice, and I practice it every day. And oh boy, my tense fucking neck. Howard made a point to assert himself in friendships. I'm not an assertive person. I'm going to pull this a little closer. I realize that I'm a little far away. And as beautiful as my room is, I don't know, I feel like I'm so distant from you all. There we go. There we go. There's a story I've been debating telling. Wait, no, it's nobody knows it. But I think it's important to share because this specific experience has guided me, and I've essentially, and this is not a patting myself on the back thing. This is a love thing, and this is, I guess I'll preface it again. There's a content warning for this. We're going to talk about death and self-harm and all of that shit. I often see people post suicide awareness things on the internet with the best of intentions. It's beautiful, and I'm so glad people do. You're not alone. Here's a phone number. Contact your friends if you're feeling down. Reach out. I'm here. And every time that I've wanted to kill myself, I would never reach out to somebody about that. That would defeat the purpose. If I have a goal that is a goal that nobody wants me to achieve, I'm not going to tell people who love me about that goal. So whenever I see those, it feels very bittersweet to me, knowing exactly the pathology of that sort of an experience mentally. Again, I'm not trying to come down on anybody sharing those things. I think they're good. But there's more than that, too. And Howard, I don't know how he knew. But I was 19. And having a bad time. And I went to go for a walk. And I wasn't going to come back. And, there was no conversation. There was no dramatic statement. I remember why I was upset, but it wasn't even something anybody else knew about. And to be fair, of course, in retrospect, it wasn't worth being upset about at all, let alone that upset. Something to do with a girl. But I was done. And obviously, it wasn't just about that. It's about a lifetime of mental illness. And I don't know how he knew, but he went on the walk with me. Wrong pipe, sorry. Oh, jeez. Just what I needed. Beer in the wrong pipe. But he knew. And we walked. We walked and we talked, and he told me stories about friends of his that he had lost to suicide. And I never said anything to him to indicate that's where I was. It just was. He just read it in me somehow. And I don't remember everything we spoke about because it was a long walk. Because that's what I needed. And and I remember him telling me, he's like, "Look, I don't care what you do. You can do anything in the fucking world, and I'll still be your friend. But you can't do that." It's the only thing you can't do. He's like, you can do things that'll upset me, and we're gonna have some fucking words, but you can't do that. You can't hurt yourself. You don't get to do that. And I think about that every time I go anywhere dark. And I've had to do the same thing for other friends of mine who I love. And it's always really hard. And it's always worth it. And the world needs more people who are so capable of love and patience, because love and patience are hard. If they weren't, the world would be such a better place. But because they're hard, so many of us decide, and maybe it's not even an active decision, but so many people decide not to be that way. And it doesn't make them bad. We're not passing a values judgment here. It's just what it is. And but I'm really glad that Howard was that kind of person. Because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for that. I just simply wouldn't. I'd have been gone for over a decade now. And I won't name the names of the people who I've kept alive, but there's a couple, and some of them also knew and loved Howard. And I'm glad that I could take his lesson directly uh, and transfer it so immediately to people who meant so much to me, and I'm glad they're still alive and still in my life. Um, and that's why, even though Howard is gone, he's not at all gone because there's so many of us. I truly believe that there are at least half a dozen people I know personally who wouldn't be alive if it weren't for him. And he lives on in us. Most of us have tattoos from him. He's fucking, he's here in all these skulls and flames and shit on my arm. And more importantly, in the kind of person I decide to be every day when I wake up, and the kind of friend I decide to be when I check in on someone I care about. Uh, Howard, won't die. He's dead, of course, but he also had characteristics and lessons that are eternal. And they're not unique to him. And so if you're watching this and didn't know him, but that of course you don't know him. Most people in the world didn't. Uh, and that's okay because you probably have yours. You probably have somebody who taught you something about love, taught you something about friendship, taught you something about patience that you didn't know you even had in you, and helped you become who you are today, hopefully for the better. 2 seconds. I gotta blow my fucking nose because I've been crying. Enjoy the music. All right. Whew. Got a bunch of toilet paper so that if I get a little weepy again, I've got something. Because, of course, who the fuck keeps Kleenex in their home? That's a rich people thing, right? It's probably not a rich people thing. It's probably just a Ben is using the all-purpose thing for body waste. Yeah, tears, snot, shit. It's all going on the same thing. I don't care. Uh, uh, but yeah, and I've I know a number of my friends right now, friends outside of Howard's social circle, because obviously all of those of us who are close to him are are facing him today. But I know a number of people I love are dealing with grief right now, and I, you know, sadly because it's 2020, I couldn't name you all if I wanted, but also I respect your privacy. But I hope anybody who sees this who is grieving right now or processing loss in any way. Grief is not the only form, of course. Um, I love you. I hope that you are loving yourself, being gentle with yourself, finding the kindness and compassion that those you miss would want for you to experience. When Howard died, I I walked in the rain for like 7 miles, which now I regularly walk that far in a day. That's not so weird for me. But at that point, in my physical health, I was recovering from illness in a much, I was much less healed at that point. It was a very risky, stupid thing for me to do, especially in the fucking rain. I walked in the rain, and I walked to a beer hall, the sort of place he would have loved. Uh, and it was like 1 in the afternoon, and I ordered like a fucking, a liter of beer. It wasn't a self-destructive thing, but I just remember feeling so alone that I had been robbed. And I don't want anybody I know who ever experiences loss to feel that way. And I'm not some fucking magical spring of love that just is eternal and consistent. Humans are inconsistent. Even people like Howard, to be fair. He could be a dick sometimes. Of course he could. He's a person. Um, Honestly, he was at his funniest when he was, to be fair. Um, but like, look, if you know me and you face loss, I just don't want anybody to feel the way I felt when I lost Howard. And there were people I loved who checked in on me, but I was cold to it, and maybe you are too if you're experiencing loss. And that's completely okay. There's no wrong way to process it. But I certainly feel it's valuable for those of us remaining, those of us who are here on this side of things, to actively be present for one another rather than passively waiting for those in bereavement to contact us. Because I know from experience, too many fucking times, if I've lost somebody, I'm not gonna contact you and say, "Hey, I need to talk." I'm learning to do that. I've gotten better. Got a couple friends I'm learning to contact and say, "Hey, I need to talk." But more often than not, I'm just gonna sit and stew like I'm on fucking fire. And I'm gonna feel like nobody in the world can see how on fire I am. Nobody wants to reach in and help. Nobody cares. I have this pain that nothing can heal. And to be fair, nothing does heal it. That pain is forever. That loss is forever. But at the same time, I do wish that I had been better equipped to accept the love and presence of the people in my life, and as part of my personal process, I simply strive to be present for the rest of you, the rest of us. We are all in this bizarre cycle of birth and death together, and life is the time spent in between the two. We spend a lot more time in non-existence than we do existing, and that's why existence is so fucking hard. We haven't had a lot of practice at it, and just when we start to get good at it, we stop. So, if we're all going to be wandering in the dark here, we don't have a roadmap and we don't have answers, at the very least, I'll say, like, you can take my hand and we can stumble around together. And it's still going to be messy and it's still going to be painful and confusing, but if I stagger, I hope you'll help me stay upright, and I hope I can do the same for you. We want another tape? Another tape? Another beer, maybe? I don't know. This is not a fun episode of Black Metal and Brews. Nor should it be. Well, actually, that's not true. It should be fun as hell. I'm commemorating the life of one of the most fun people I've ever known. And I being me as I am, I choose to focus on the gentleness. But, God, we had so much fun. You know what? Do I get a third beer? These are not high alcohol beers, and there's not a lot in them. Are they high alcohol? Doesn't feel like they are. I'm gonna make sure I'm not going to give myself a hangover without even getting drunk. I can't fucking read. I really need new glasses. GoFundMe.com/GiveBenGlasses. Maybe it just doesn't say the alcohol content. I don't know, man. I'll have another beer. We'll play another tape. Because the last thing I'm doing is ending a Howard thing on a sour note. Like, fucking seriously. And also, Howard was always that person to get me to drink one more beer than I should. So, I'm taking a second here because obviously I'm improvising. I think that's obvious. I'm improvising. In case you can't tell. What would Howard have liked me to play? I mean, Howard's favorite bands were like Pink Floyd and Acid Bath and the Butthole Surfers. Rob Zombie. I don't have tapes from any of those bands. Fucking Rob Zombie, God. I tried to like Rob Zombie, White Zombie, all that shit, and it's not bad, but God, the production values on the White Zombie albums were fucking terrible. Take a rock band and make them sound like they're not a rock band. He liked special edition things, which is why I'm looking up over this. Like, I'm trying to look at my weird packaged cassettes, see like if there's something he would have dug. Because if there's any day, any time where he's more here than he's been, it's today. You know what? We're just gonna find a regular ass cassette. Because I also don't want Buddy's ego getting too big over there on the other side. Ben's busting out all the best things for me. Yes, I would, but also, I'm happy to just give you a regular night too, dude, because when we lived together, it was every night. Every night we would have dinner, play music, drink more than we should drink, and eat pepperoncinis out of the jar. I mean, that's what we did. We sat one night and ate an entire deli-sized jar of pepperoncinis. Howard and I, we just got drunk, sat in the music room, ate a whole fucking jar of pepperoncinis, and he was drinking that Bud Light Clamato mix. I've never tried it. I've had canned micheladas, which are fine. It's like tomato soda, but like the clam juice in that. Oh, I don't fucking know. I don't understand. The man was disgusting. I love him so fucking much. That's so gross. Oh man, talk about vile shit. Howard, I can't believe you did that. I mean, obviously it didn't hurt you. I mean, you died of unnatural causes anyway, so you may as well have been eating garbage and drinking garbage. I'm taking too long figuring out my next thing, and now I'm self-conscious. No, fuck it. I'm not gonna be precious. We're gonna listen to the new Mr. Bungle cassette, and I'm gonna get like a DMCA takedown order from Ipecac Records or whatever. But because I'm not monetizing this, who gives a fuck? they can get ad revenue from me playing the new Mr. Bungle cassette on air. Woo! I think it's all on Bandcamp anyway, right? The whole fucking demo album, what have you, is on Bandcamp. Yeah. I'm gonna Google that real quick before I put this on, because if this isn't all streamable, I'm not gonna play it. Because oh my god, I do not want to get this video of all videos taken down. So Mr. Bungle Bandcamp. It's also really weird to be sitting here in 2020 Googling Mr. Bungle Bandcamp. Did not think that they would be coming back. Oh yeah, you can fucking stream the whole goddamn thing. So fuck it. Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. We're gonna throw this on. I'm gonna go grab my third and final beer, and we're gonna hear Mr. Bungle as a thrash band, huh? I'm gonna go get a beer. See you in a second. I guess if you need to take a pee break, this is the time. All right. So, not quite pepperoncinis, but I got my jar of pickles, which is another. Howard just loved pickled and preserved foods. I've been told that it is a holdover from his time in prison. Having never been to prison, I can't say, but I guess things like tinned fish. Like he loved. You got like one of those tins of smoked oysters. He would put smoked oysters from the tin on a cracker, like a saltine cracker, and put hot sauce on it, and that was like his fucking delicacy. I'm sure that he enjoyed things like steak or fish and chips more, but when I think about like a regular night at Howard's house, it was him eating maybe 2 tins of oysters on crackers and then a bunch of pepperoncinis and drinking a shitload of Miller High Life and going to bed by 9 p.m. Living the dream. Always stoned out of his mind. Chanting Slayer at me or some shit. So, final beer. We're gonna listen to Mr. Bungle and eat pickles, which is really weird because that's basically what I was doing when I was 18 when I lived with him, and 19 when I lived with him. To be fair, yeah, it's pickle time. Pickle time. I don't know if I'll eat all of these because I don't have Howard to help me tonight. Okay, so seriously. Oh man, these pickles are so fucking good. This brand. The whole thing is mirrored, so I always. Lowell. Polish dill pickles. Holy shit, they're so good. Like, not fully. Thankfully, nobody else is eating these but me. They're not like too sweet. They're not too garlicky. They're a little sweet, but. This company makes one that I like a little more. It's more garlicky. They were out when I got these, and they're really good anyway. Like, less amazing is still amazing. Well, here we are, being scumbags, listening to heavy metal tapes drinking beer the way Howard would have wanted it. And it's so cool to hear this. This is my first time hearing this. I haven't listened to the digital. It's like I downloaded like a bootleg of this, of course. You know, like somebody had ripped it to the internet, and I would listen to the MP3s, and it didn't sound this good at all. I still listened to it constantly and loved it. But so it's funny, like I literally have listened to this and eaten pickled foods and drank beer with Howard. And that fucking rules. I wish he was here for this. I mean, he is, but, you know, I wish that he was here to, like, get drunk and lean on my shoulder and drool. He was a drooler. Howard, we went to, do you remember there was that Sounds of the Underground tour they had in the mid-aughts? You know, we went in, I don't remember what year. I think Guar played every year. But it was In Flames was the headliner that we were there to see. I think As I Lay Dying was the headliner. Fuck them, we left early. In Flames, Cannibal Corpse, Behemoth. Was Behemoth there? Yeah, Behemoth was there. Machine Head, Guar, The Chariot, and a lot of bands. But it was like a 3-hour drive from home. So on the way home, we stopped at the diner. Howard ate a plate of cheesy fries, by which I mean I ordered a plate of cheesy fries, which Howard was asleep next to me. He would just, like, with his eyes closed, he'd, like, reach into my plate and just kind of grab, like, a handful of cheese fries and, like, put it into his fucking mouth. And, like, when you've got, like, your friend with old man hands who's, like, so drunk they're not even awake eating your food, you're, one, you're not going to stop them because they need to sober up, and two, that's gross. I don't want that food back after he's taken it. You know, especially because he's in that place where he's like, you're like, oh, dude, that's my food. Like, oh, yeah, you want it back? Yeah. Like, no, I definitely don't want it back. Thanks, dude. Like, you know, and he'd kind of, you know, fucking he'd punch you on the shoulder. It's like, okay. So in the car ride home from San Francisco, it's like an hour and a half drive home. Dude falls asleep and is snoring and is just drooling cheese fry on my shoulder the whole goddamn way home. That's my thanks for letting me eat my plate of food. Because, you know, I was not old enough to drink at that point. Was I? No, I wasn't even legal drinking age. So, like, I was sober that day, which is fine. I can have fun sober. So that was my reward for being the sober friend, is that I didn't really need to eat to sober up. I just got to let Howard eat my fries. And to be fair, Kira, that's not a gross thing. That's a great thing. I eat pickled foods with my breakfast all the time, and with breakfast comes coffee. I almost grabbed my jar of kimchi, but I decided not to gross people out too much. Kimchi is supreme. I didn't even know that they made vegan kimchi, but I found it at the store. And it's really good. Well, shit. Wow, really good. Obviously, I don't think Mr. Bungle is a thrash band. But they're really good at it, aren't they? Echo, echo. Ooh. Oh, it's so good. God damn. These are the kind of nights that Howard and I would have. I miss them. It's funny, like, hearing things that are, like, you know, like, familiar, but also being like, wow, this is so much clearer than I'm used to being. Like, I know this, but also I've never heard this. Like, I've never heard it like this. Okay, this next one has a lot of. I actually need to use my phone light to read this fucking thing in front of me because my light in my room is too dim. Oh, they're doing it the way they did it live. Okay. One of my favorite things on the original Mr. Bungle demo looks like it's not going to be on this. Kira says, one of my favorite snacks is to stack up whatever kind of chip, a pickle, jalapeno pepper, and genie, and some cheese. What cheese? Tell me about your cheese. Even though I don't eat cheese anymore. And honestly, I never really was a cheese person. Say what you will. But, you know, cheese is good. It's ironic for somebody drinking this much beer, but, like, I'm concerned about my figure, and cheese always felt like a frivolous, extra calorie thing. You're too young to worry about that yourself, Kira, but, you know, when you're in your 30s, it changes. I used to count calories. I don't anymore. Pepper jack cheese. That's a good one to go with the pickled foods. Okay, so they do the little cucaracha thing here. And on the original demo, after this, like, they do like a weird ska thing, but they're not going to do that here. Here they're going to go into their cover of Speak English or Die, which they changed to Habla Español o Muere, which Speak Spanish or Die is a way cooler thing. Because, yeah, you know, fuck that, this is our country, this is our language shit. But so when I saw Mr. Bungle live earlier this year, last show I saw, they did this instead of playing the whole Hypocrites. And Hypocrites is such a good song. I'm bummed that they got rid of it, but I also understand they don't want to do that ska shit on their thing. Speak English or Die is a fun song, you know. Well, yeah, this is, you know. It is really nice to hear that in 2020, Mike Patton still has a pretty fucking ferocious voice, given that he's been doing it since the mid-'80s. It would be really easy to understand why somebody's throat may, you know, not be where it used to be. But he's fucking holding it down, isn't he? I mean, they're all doing it wonderfully. Obviously as a Mr. Bungle fan, I'm going to look at Disco Volante or California as the pinnacle of the band's career. But it's really, really gratifying to hear these songs revisited in this fashion. Who among us doesn't have something in our past that we wish we'd been a little better equipped to do because it was really cool and we wanted to give it a chance to be what it could have been. And that's them here. They have a chance to actually, turn their high school demo into an album they can be proud of. That's fucking cool. Habla español o muere. There we go. Well, I know there's two sides to this tape, but I think after this side ends, we're going to call it a night. I'm not trying to run too long, and it's been running long already. It's fucking... Yeah, it's almost 8 o'clock. And I've got other shit to do tonight, too. Not that this isn't important, but other shit related, to honoring those I miss. Even if the beer isn't finished, we're going to call it when the tape ends. And I believe there's this song and one more. So, maybe another 10 minutes. Don't know how long the songs are. Because a couple of the songs are from that era, but not on the original demo. So that's really exciting, too. So, I guess if you're watching still, there's 7 of you, it says. Wow, there's an awful lot of you. If you're watching and you have any thoughts on those you miss, thoughts on grief, love, friendship, or heavy metal, beer, pickled foods, feel free to share them. Yeah, Pat can still really hit those highs. Damn. I also like knowing that this band is so much more than this, and yet they are wholly committed to doing the best thrash record they could with this. Well, let's have another pickle. I've only got 6 of them left in this fucking week. I may not have a lot in life, but I got a lot of pickles. God, I got so many pickles. Oh, Kara, I'm so glad you're my friend. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I cry a lot, and I think that's a normal thing. I don't think that we should be afraid to cry. I don't think we should be afraid to show it. I think it's also okay to struggle with showing it or to be concerned by how others might view us for displaying that emotion. That's a rational thing. We live in a world that doesn't always value full, honest displays of emotion. And it doesn't mean I'm great at it. Obviously, if my barista asks how I'm doing today when I'm getting a latte, I'm not going to be like, I'm suffering. That's because there's also something to be said about boundaries and respecting others' boundaries, and their needs and their desires and the place they're in. But something. This is my fucking swamp, and I'm Shrek. If you come here, I for better or for worse, you're stuck dealing with whatever I choose to throw at you, and you can give me the thumbs down or whatever on YouTube, or you can close the window if you don't enjoy it. But I hope that you'll give me the thumbs up and stay. Not because I need that, but because I hope so much that anything I say will help somebody. I don't know. I have no delusion that I'm going to fix the world. But I think that much like Howard took in strays and I was a fucking stray, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I hope that I'm taking in some strays. I think there might be some wayward people in the world. Not a lot, but a couple maybe, who feel an affinity for what I'm doing. And maybe this is a place that you can come to get some of that shit that I got from Howard. Madeline, Madeline, I'm so glad you're here. I've appreciated this moment. I'm glad that I could help celebrate the life of someone so clearly impactful and caring, even if for me it was passively team. Hey, there's no rules. You don't have to say a word. There's no obligation to be or do anything. I mean, as I said much earlier, Kira and Madeline, both commenting, you both have my phone number, that was, as I said earlier, like, if I contact you, let you know I'm thinking of you, or if I'm doing a stream and I'm saying something, I don't need anything back from that. And that's something I totally fucking learned from Howard, So you watching passively is cool. You don't have to comment in the stream, but I'm glad you did. That's really moving to me what you shared. But that's the thing. Like we all do what we can for one another when we can, and when we can't, when we're in a different place, that's good too. God, these pickles are so good. Maybe I'll get a pickle sponsorship. That'll be my new chapter. I'm gonna be like a vegan lifestyle blogger. I'll just be like sharing my favorite lentil recipes with you on the internet and home beautification tips. Okay, this is one of the new songs. Like, the song's like 35 years old, but new as in they never recorded it back then. They played it at the show. Oh shit! I'm losing the pickle butt. No, it's falling into the jar again. It just means it'll be nice and briny, I guess, huh? It's like the stem, the pickle stem. I'm sure it's edible, but I'm not going to eat the pickle stem. I'll put the stem back in the jar. Let it absorb the flavors. This is cool as shit. don't know. Some of the people watching here have been in bands. I know maybe all of you have, and not everybody's talks about it. Because I think some people have more to do than relive the glory days of their bands that never did anything. But I think everybody who's been in a band has had that song or songs that you wrote, that you played live, that you that you like put together, and they meant so much to you, and you never recorded it. Nobody ever fucking heard it. Like maybe 3 people who were, or not people who were at like 3 of your shows heard them. I kind of love those songs even more than the ones that get committed to memory. Like I'm thinking about songs like I've been revisiting some of my old bands because I have MP3s of them, and I've been working to put those things into reality. Now that Bandcamp exists and shit. Listen to that. That's the Love Is a Fist riff. Love is a fist. Oh, it's so cool. I love this. I love that. Ground Zero Salem. Losing people is hard, but it doesn't have to be only hard, and I think that's what matters. I'm trying to grapple with the complex beauty, love, and pain that it brings about. Do I drink pickle juice? I mean, I would. I don't just sit around doing it. I'm not. I think that you've mistaken me for my dear friend Dan, the metal crab. Dan and his beautiful broccoli water and asparagus water and all of that shit. I don't think he did asparagus water. I think that was a Whole Foods joke. But Dan is the person asked for that. But yeah, I know they do like picklebacks and stuff, but I don't even fucking do shots, so I definitely don't do the pickleback thing. That said, I would. I think pickle brine is delicious. I think that's my next thing. Like, when I go to the hospital once a month for my fucking infusions, so that I can be a healthy person, because I'm dying of whatever the fuck I'm not dying of. But it would hurt me if I didn't get infusions. The fellow that drove my Lyft there last time was telling me about how he learned to make kimchi this year. And also how he learned to bake. I think everybody learned how to bake except for me this year. Maybe I'll do that too eventually. But he learned to make kimchi, and I'm like, oh my, I want to make kimchi. Has Dan finished his cabbage yet? You know what? I'm gonna fucking. I'll have no idea. But really, is a man's cabbage ever finished? I think that Dan will finish his cabbage and start anew. Talk about wholesome heavy metal people, huh? Love Is a Fist. It's really cool hearing like where bands harvested the things that they used later on. My band, when I was 21 through, I don't know, 23, 24, my band Giants Orbiting had this one song that I wrote about a fella who tried to fight me in the streets of Portland, Oregon when we were on tour. We never recorded it, but we played it live a few times. And of course, it was the fan favorite for those couple of shows, of course. So hearing these songs that never got recorded anywhere until now, like that's so cool. Unfortunately, that band does not have a cult following. We will never re-record the song about that guy who wanted to fight me. But people liked this guy wanted me to take the first swing, even though I didn't know we were going to fight. So he came up to me and told me, "Hit me, motherfucker." And so, of course, I thought that was really funny because I'm an asshole. And And so the whole getting a whole room of people to chant back, hit me, motherfucker. I guess, of course, people liked that at shows. People love a sing along. Even in heavy metal, even in these indecipherable shit, if people can pick out, like, here's 5 words that I can sing along to, they're gonna like that. So, like, when all the metal dudes are like, oh, fuck pop music, so I was like, well, you can sing along to a pop song. Of course people like that. Your favorite Metallica part is probably the die chant in fucking, Creeping Death, because Creeping Death is the coolest fucking song Metallica ever wrote, even though it was an Exodus song. No hate, no hate. But I'm a Ride the Lightning and, era fan, like early Metallica for me. But just saying, like, we like a sing along, we like a chant along. Which is why even if you like the most mind-numbingly indecipherable shit, the part that you can vocalize along with is the part that you like. Well, goddamn, 2 hours have gone by. The tape, this side of the tape has ended. You want to hear the rest of the tape, go to mrbungle.bandcamp.com or whatever the fuck it is. If you Google Mr. Bungle Bandcamp, you'll find it. They were on Warner Brothers Records. You know who Mr. Bungle is. Be good to those you love. Be a friend. Be present. Of course, don't let people overstep their boundaries with you. I think we've all had people that we cared about who needed more than we could possibly give, and obviously I would never urge anyone to drain themselves for the benefit of those they care about. We can't do that. That's not okay. And if anybody truly loves you, they'll understand that. And I mean this in the most loving, beautiful way possible. If you have a friend and you care about them, one of you will eventually come to mourn the other in death. And that's okay. But knowing that that is an inevitability of love, of compassion, of having people in your life, please act with that in mind. It doesn't have to be like this thing, like, you're going to die one day, so I got to tell you this. But, like, everything we have is finite. Don't take it for granted. Don't be fucking weird about it, but don't take it for granted. Be direct with people. Be enthusiastic in the love that you have for the people in your life. Be wholly present. And obviously we all have our moments where we're a little checked out. But, if somebody you care about is speaking to you, don't be in your phone or whatever. I mean, it's so easy. I'm guilty of it too, but be present. Remember the things they tell you about themselves. They've shared that with you for a reason. Remember the things that you pick up on that they don't tell you. They may be even more delighted to know that you recall those. Cook for your friends if you know how to. If you don't, learn how to. I can't think of a greater form of love than sharing something you created that will nourish someone you care about. Give your friends gifts. If you have something small or large that reminds you of somebody that you care about and it won't absolutely ruin your world to part with it. Give it to that person. The joy that you gain from having given something to somebody you love and celebrating that friendship in that way, and in knowing them to know that they will enjoy it, that is greater than the joy that you have from having that possession. Trust me. Just listen to people. Be yourself fearlessly. It makes it easier for people to be themselves around you. Be attuned to people's moods. know when they don't need certain things from you that you would usually provide for them. And it's also okay if you fail in that, but don't be so proud that you can't acknowledge when you've perhaps taken a misstep with a friendship. It's okay to make a mistake, especially if you're close with someone. You will, and if they're close with you, they'll understand. It'll be a lot better if you apologize for that and communicate that. Howard and I had a lot of misunderstandings. He's a difficult person. So am I. We loved each other enough to figure it out. Um, and, I mean, as I've displayed tonight, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to display vulnerability, to display emotion, and to be transparent in those expressions of yourself and your experiences. When people love you, and no matter who you are and what your experience is, unless you're a fucking tyrant, and nobody watching this is, you're not a warlord and killing children. Somebody loves you, and they will still love you, even when you show them your vulnerabilities and your imperfections. And some people won't. And those people, it may hurt when they display that they don't have patience for your imperfections. But you don't need them at all. And that doesn't mean, fuck everybody if they won't, it doesn't mean that you should just be a complete fucking nightmare. But good friendships, good love, they can stand a little bit of, push and pull. They can stand a little bit of turbulence. Life is turbulent, and if anything cannot withstand it's not going to withstand life itself. I'm not, there's no endless wisdom here. I'm Ben. I'm a searcher. I'm a seeker. I'm on a path in life, trying to learn to love myself and those around me better every day. I love heavy metal. I love beer. I love my friends more than any of those things. And sometimes I love myself. Today I do. So I don't have answers, but I hope that something I've said helped you in some way, because it really helped me tonight. Black Metal and Brews exists primarily as a conduit for community, for us to come together, to be together, in whatever shape that may take. Many of you watching it this long in have probably seen episodes where somebody else will just join in randomly, unexpectedly, and we'll talk. And sometimes it turns in a direction I don't anticipate, and that's cool. Because we make space for our community. And I don't mean necessarily that we allow others to dictate what we do. Again, we have boundaries, but showing up for your friends isn't always a guarantee, that things are going to be smooth and linear, and that's fucking fine. And I love that anyway. But, thanks for being here. If you, tomorrow I'm going to be filming the next Patreon only. I feel silly even saying that. Black Metal and Brews video, pre-recorded. You don't have to spend any certain amount of money. It's like $1 a month. It's fine. You'll get to see it, where I drink a beer and play a tape and talk about the beer and the tape. I'll probably do something on Thanksgiving or the day after it. I'm still not clear on which of the two. I hate Thanksgiving as a function of my hate for imperialism and colonial settler bullshit. But I also realize and recognize that is still a day when loneliness is very pronounced for a lot of people who are alone. And my desire to create community on a day like that is still strong. So I'm grappling with that decision myself on which day I'll do it, but there will be something for us to come together later this week. If you know, if you want to get in touch with me in any way, there are many ways to do so. Twitter.com/blackmetalbrews, blackmetalandbrews@gmail.com. Leave a comment on this. Find there's links below to everything. I'm just a person, so forgive me if I'm not perfect in my responses, but I will try to be kind and understanding with you. Thank you for being here. If you are grieving, if you know loss in your life, you have, even if you don't, you have all my love. And I hope that you are working through it in the ways in which you need to. If you'd like me to be involved in that process in any way, I will try to do so. I'm not a therapist. I have no training other than the lessons life has taught me along the way. If you need true help, I urge you to seek it through perhaps more conventional methods. But if you'd just like a friend, I'll be your friend. I'm Ben. This is Black Metal and Brews, and I'll see you all real soon. Cheers.